Welcome back to Superbly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
Yeah, we are so glad you're joining us today.
And just a really quick note for you listening. Today's material is actually from a SpeakDuo lesson. So you can go to speakduo.com to meet new people from around the world who are practicing English on video calls.
Exactly. It's just such a great way to become more confident with your speaking abilities.
Highly recommend it. So anyway, today we are jumping straight into some phrases that are strictly for advanced English learners.
Right. No basic vocabulary today. We are looking at, those highly specific idioms that native speakers use to add that extra color and nuance to a conversation.
Yeah, the fun stuff. And I want to start with one that always sounds like so intensely physical to me. The phrase is whip something into shape.
Oh, that's a great one. It definitely has some energy to it.
Right. Like when I hear whip something into shape, I don't picture someone, gently organizing a desk. It sounds like a drill sergeant or something.
Totally.
Yeah.
And historically, that's kind of the vibe. It likely connects to things like blacksmithing, right? Taking raw, shapeless metal and literally striking it over and over.
Wow, yeah. Until it's a tool.
Exactly. So to whip something into shape basically needs to take really swift, immediate action to improve something quickly. You are making it organized or effective, and you're doing it fast.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. How is this actually different from just telling a colleague, I need to clean up my office?
Well, the nuance there is all about the forceful energy, right?
Yeah.
And the implication that the current state of things is just absolute chaos.
Oh, I see.
Like if you say clean up, maybe you have, a couple of coffee cups on your desk. But if you need to whip it into shape, it implies a disaster area. It needs strict intervention right now.
Yeah, it's not just a gentle tidying, it's a dramatic transformation. I definitely use this at work when the panic sets in,
Oh, for sure. We all do.
Like I'll say, I need to whip my messy office into shape before the meeting. Or if you're talking about your habits, you could say, I usually whip my workspace into shape before important deadlines.
Those are perfect examples. It really highlights that looming urgency. You have to act decisively.
So can I apply this to people too? Like if I'm managing a project, can I say I need to whip my team into shape? Or is that like way too aggressive?
I mean, it definitely carries a very demanding, authoritative vibe. You really have to be careful with your tone.
Right, you don't want to sound like a dictator.
Exactly. Personal trainers will say they're going to whip you into shape, and that's fine. But in an office, saying you'll whip the team into shape implies things have gotten really sloppy, and you are stepping in to enforce discipline.
It's a power move for sure.
It really is.
So that chaotic energy is so different from our next phrase.
Okay.
What if you don't need like a dramatic transformation, but you just need to meet a basic requirement?
Yeah. This brings us to bring something up to scratch.
Bring something up to scratch. When I hear scratch, I honestly just think of like a mosquito bite.
Right, or a lottery ticket.
Yeah. So how does this mean making something better?
Well, the origin is actually brilliant. It goes back to early sports, like
Really?
18th century bare-knuckle boxing or foot races.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Yeah, they didn't have painted lines back then. A referee would literally draw a line in the dirt with a stick. A scratch.
A scratch in the dirt. That makes so much sense.
Right. And competitors had to step up to the scratch to start. So to bring something up to scratch means to improve it until it reaches an acceptable standard.
So the nuance here is the boundary line itself. You aren't aiming for absolute perfection, right?
Exactly. You are just aiming to hit a very specific required minimum benchmark. It wasn't good enough before, and you're elevating it just enough to cross that line.
That is so practical. I feel like if you're answering an IELTS Speaking Part 2 prompt, the examiners would love this one.
Oh, absolutely. Shows great range.
You could say, she practiced daily to bring her presentation up to scratch. Or, I need to bring my speech up to scratch by rehearsing it several times before the big event.
Yeah, it's not about winning a Nobel Prize. It's about not failing. You're hitting that minimum viable product.
Totally. So we've talked about managing things like offices and presentations, but what about managing people and workloads?
Oh, this is where the idioms get really interesting.
I always think of this phrase when dealing with new hires. Keep someone on a short leash.
Keep someone on a short leash. Basically, this means to strictly control someone's actions or limit their freedom.
But like if I'm a manager, why wouldn't I just say I'm supervising them closely? What's the difference?
Well, supervising closely can be a really warm, supportive thing, like mentoring.
True.
But a short leash implies a deliberate restriction of independence. It implies a baseline lack of trust, honestly.
Oh, it's just like walking a puppy.
Yes, exactly.
Like, when I got my dog, I didn't let him wander near traffic until he knew the commands. I literally kept the leash short so he couldn't sprint into danger. I restricted his freedom for his own good.
That is such a brilliant analogy. You are restricting them to protect the project or to protect them.
Right. So in a conversation with a colleague, you might say, managers sometimes keep new employees on a short leash until they learn the routine.
Yeah, or I kept the new assistant on a short leash until they understood the procedures. It's controlling, but usually temporary.
But what happens when, you are the one off the leash and you just go completely wild, taking on way too much responsibility?
Ah, yes. Then you bite off more than you can chew.
To bite off more than you can chew.
Which means taking on a task that is just entirely too large or difficult to manage.
I feel like a lot of people might just think, well, isn't that just a fancy way of saying I'm super busy?
What's fascinating here is the crucial nuance of hubris. It's self-inflicted.
Self-inflicted, wow. So if my boss gives me too much work, I didn't bite off more than I can chew.
Not really, no. You didn't choose that. Biting off more than you can chew means you willingly took on the burden. You volunteered for it because you wildly overestimated your own capacity.
Oh, the regret in this phrase is so real. I mean, it's such a vivid physical sensation, stuffing so much food into your mouth that your jaw literally can't move to chew it.
Exactly. You were greedy, or maybe just way too optimistic, and now you are stuck in this really uncomfortable position, completely unable to swallow or speak.
That is such a great visual. If you were doing an IELTS prompt about a time you made a mistake, you could say, I bit off more than I could chew by accepting 3 projects at once.
That's a perfect example. It immediately tells the listener that you acknowledged the fault was yours.
Yeah, or I did when I agreed to extra shifts while preparing for exams. We've all been there.
Oh, absolutely.
So if you've bitten off too much, or if something in your life is just breaking down, eventually you have to let it go. Which brings us to put something out to pasture.
To put something out to pasture. This means to retire or stop using something because it's old or no longer useful.
I feel like I wouldn't use this for, a crumpled up piece of paper. Why not just say throw it away?
Well, the nuanced difference here is respect. It's deeply rooted in agrarian culture.
Like farming.
Exactly. When a farm horse gets too old to pull a plow, a kind farmer doesn't just get rid of it. They put it out into the grassy pasture to live out its final days in peace.
Oh, that's actually really sweet.
It is.
Yeah.
So when you use this for an object, you are acknowledging that it had a long, useful life before it finally broke down.
I love that. So like a household example would be, we finally put the old printer out to pasture after it stopped working reliably.
Yeah, or I put my worn-out blender out to pasture after it broke for the 3rd time. It softens the act of throwing it away.
Right, because it served you faithfully for 5 years. Letting go of that old printer probably came with 0 guilt, which transitions us to an internal state of mind. Have no qualms about something.
Having no qualms about something means feeling no hesitation, guilt, or worry about doing something.
See, when I hear no qualms, I usually just think of someone who doesn't care. They're just apathetic.
Well, there's a big moral weight to the word qualm.
Really?
Yeah, not caring is just general apathy. But a qualm is a sudden feeling of doubt or a pang of conscience. So having no qualms specifically addresses the total absence of moral doubt or guilt regarding an action that might normally make someone hesitate.
Ah, I get it. It's unapologetic. So you might say she had no qualms about taking a short break to rest and recharge.
Exactly. Society might expect you to feel guilty about stepping away from your desk, but you are stating confidently that you don't.
Or, I have no qualms about enjoying dessert after a long day of work. No apologies.
0 apologies. You know your worth.
Sometimes, though, you take that break because you are in what we call dire need of it. To be in dire need of something.
Yes. This means urgently requiring something because the situation is really bad or uncomfortable.
But like dire sounds like a disaster movie. If I say I'm in dire need of a vacation, am I just saying I really want one?
Not exactly. The difference is the severity. Dire literally implies a critical, almost desperate state of necessity. It elevates it way above a simple preference.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. Because native speakers use this hyperbolically all the time for just completely mundane things.
Oh, constantly.
Like for an IELTS response, you could say, after a long day outside, I was in dire need of a hot drink and rest. It's hilarious how dramatic the word dire sounds just for wanting a cup of tea.
It is absolute hyperbole.
Yeah.
You're playfully exaggerating your discomfort to show how incredibly satisfying that tea is going to be.
Right, like I'm crawling through a desert.
Exactly, when really you just had a long Tuesday.
After a week of long shifts, I am in dire need of a full day off to recover. So dramatic.
Totally dramatic.
Well, the opposite of that urgent, desperate panic is our final phrase before the quiz today. It's a slow one. Mull something over.
To mull something over. It means to think about an idea or decision carefully and for some time.
I always picture someone sitting in a leather armchair with a cup of coffee. Why not just say, I need to make a choice?
The nuance is all about the duration and depth. Making a choice can be a snap judgment, but mulling is a slow, simmering process.
Simmering, I like that.
Yeah, think about mulling wine or cider. You put the spices in, and you heat it slowly over hours for the flavors to blend.
Oh, wow.
Right. When you mull an idea over, you are weighing options and looking at it from multiple angles over days or weeks.
That makes perfect sense. So a professional example would be, he needed a few days to mull over the job offer before replying.
Exactly. He refused to be rushed.
Or, I often mull over travel plans before booking to compare dates and costs. Just letting the information sit in your mind until the decision becomes clear.
It's a very deliberate action.
All right. We have unpacked 8 deeply nuanced, advanced idioms today, and now it is time to test your memory with the Advanced English Quiz.
I love this part. Let's see how much you've retained from this deep dive.
We're going to take turns reading the questions for you, and for every single question, we will give you option A, option B, and option C.
And we are going to constantly repeat the idiom to help drill it into your head.
After we read the options, we'll remind you to pause the audio if you need a second to think. Ready? I will kick us off with question 1. What is the best definition for the expression to whip something into shape?
Okay, option A. To actively take immediate swift actions to improve something quickly and effectively make it far more organized today.
Option B. To deliberately cause extreme, highly severe physical damage to an old, heavily worn machinery using harsh, strong forces.
Or option C. To entirely successfully, proudly, officially introduce completely new, mandatory, complicated rules during a staff meeting.
Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
All right, the correct answer is option A. To whip something into shape means to actively take immediate, swift actions to improve something quickly and effectively make it far more organized today.
Yep, just remember the example of the messy office. You need to whip your messy office into shape before the regional manager gets there.
Okay, moving to question 2. How is the phrase, to bring something up to scratch, accurately defined?
Option A. To permanently, effectively, entirely successfully scratch heavily damaged painted surfaces using incredibly sharp tools.
Option B. To genuinely, carefully, successfully, intentionally, efficiently, actively improve something to an acceptable standard level.
Or option C. To completely, suddenly, quickly, rapidly, forcefully, violently, fiercely strike an innocent person calmly walking nearby.
Take a second to pause the audio here if you need to think about your answer.
And the correct answer is option B. To bring something up to scratch means to genuinely, carefully, successfully, intentionally, efficiently, actively improve something to an acceptable standard level.
Exactly. Remember the dedicated student we talked about? She practiced daily to bring her presentation up to scratch. She hit that baseline standard.
All right, question 3. If someone manages to keep someone on a straight leash, what exactly are they doing?
Option A. To continuously, fully, rapidly, fiercely, heavily, safely, firmly, gently, efficiently, deeply, completely, successfully release.
Wow, that's a lot of adverbs. Okay, option B. To perfectly, successfully, gracefully, naturally, purely, beautifully, intensely, deeply, securely, happily, strongly complete.
Or option C. To highly strictly control another specific individual's personal daily actions or entirely limit their basic freedom.
Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option C. To keep someone on a short leash means to highly strictly control another specific individual's personal daily actions or entirely limit their basic freedom.
Right. Think of the puppy analogy or the manager keeping the new assistant on a short leash until they understood the procedures.
Perfect. Here's question 4. What does a person mean when they bite off more than they can chew?
Option A. To foolishly attempt to intentionally successfully manage a specific massive task that is entirely far too difficult.
Option B. To physically, continuously, aggressively, heavily, strongly, violently, deeply, strictly, furiously, entirely consume a solid.
Or option C. To perfectly, completely, safely, efficiently, rapidly, gracefully, happily, beautifully, carefully, truly, intensely finish tests.
Go ahead and pause the podcast here if you need a moment to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option A. When you bite off more than you can chew, it means to foolishly attempt to intentionally successfully manage a specific, massive task that is entirely far too difficult.
Exactly. Remember the tired worker who bit off more than they could chew by volunteering for extra shifts? That's self-inflicted hubris.
We are halfway there. Question 5. Which of the following describes what it means to put something out to pasture?
Option A. To actively, safely, and entirely, physically, gracefully, heavily, perfectly, fully, comfortably, deeply, purely plant.
Option B. To officially, entirely, truly, intentionally, permanently retire a specific old item because it is fully no longer useful.
Or option C. To deliberately, severely, fully, intensely, actively, rapidly, strongly, carefully, deeply, entirely, completely cut.
Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option B. To put something out to pasture means to officially, entirely, truly, intentionally, permanently retire a specific old item because it is fully no longer useful.
Yeah, remember giving an honorable discharge to the old printer? We finally put the old printer out to pasture after it stopped working reliably.
Awesome. Question 6. What occurs when a person manages to have no qualms about something?
Option A. To heavily, rapidly, strictly, constantly, fiercely, strongly, forcefully, actively, violently, passionately argue over points.
Option B. To deeply, thoroughly, perfectly, carefully, beautifully, successfully, gently, fully, entirely, safely, purely, strongly hide it.
Or option C. To absolutely, truly, entirely feel zero personal guilt, hesitation, or deep hidden worry regarding a specific action.
Go ahead and pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
The correct answer is option C. To have no qualms about something means to absolutely, truly, entirely feel zero personal guilt, hesitation, or deep hidden worry regarding a specific action.
Right, like taking that unapologetic break. She had no qualms about taking a short break to rest and recharge.
2 left. Question 7. What does it mean if you happen to be in dire need of something?
Option A. To truly, urgently, fully, absolutely, practically, actively require a specific thing due to a terribly severe situation.
Option B. To completely, safely, gracefully, officially, totally, effectively, perfectly, beautifully, deeply, confidently finalize.
Or option C. To deliberately, successfully, firmly, completely, heavily, violently, powerfully, deeply, entirely, strictly, fiercely destroy it.
Feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
And the correct answer is option A. To be in dire need of something means to truly, urgently, fully, absolutely, practically, actively require a specific thing due to a terribly severe situation.
Exactly. Just think of that dramatic hiker. After a long day outside, I was in dire need of a hot drink and rest.
Okay, our final challenge, question 8. What happens when someone actively tries to mull something over?
Option A. To entirely, violently, forcefully, totally, perfectly, securely, rapidly, fiercely, strongly crush.
Option B. To genuinely, totally, deeply, seriously consider an idea or decision carefully and for some time.
Or option C. To absolutely, instantly, quickly jump to a random conclusion without any serious thought at all.
One last time, feel free to pause the podcast here if you need to think about the answer.
And the final correct answer is option B. To mull something over means to genuinely, totally, deeply, seriously consider an idea or decision carefully and for some time.
Just like the patient job applicant who needed a few days to mull over the job offer before replying.
Wow, huge congratulations on making it through that quiz. You have officially expanded your descriptive powers today. So, what does this all really mean for your English journey?
Well, I'd love to leave you with one final thought to mull over today. Language isn't just about memorizing textbook definitions, Idioms actually carry the cultural DNA of the people who speak them.
Oh, that's a great point.
Yeah, think about how expressions like short leash and out to pasture reflect this deeply agrarian past, this history of farming and animal husbandry that still somehow completely dominates modern corporate boardrooms today.
It's wild. We literally use horse and farm metaphors to describe high-tech digital workflows.
We really do. So I encourage you to look at your own native language. Do you also use animal or farming metaphors for similar modern situations?
That is a deeply fascinating perspective to take away. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. And remember to go practice using your new phrases in your conversations to truly bring your advanced English up to scratch.